good afternoon and welcome back to Star Cub Review. I'm your host, Star Cub, of course, me. In today's review, I'm going to review a 1980s horror comedy slasher film called Doom Asylum, which was not released into theaters, but more a VHS release in the late 80s. And all I have to say about this film is it's fucking awful. It is really, really awful. But before we get into that, for everyone that is new and tuning in and subscribing, thanks so much, guys. I really, really appreciate it. 108 subscribers so far. My channel is starting to grow, and I really, really appreciate the support from all the new and returning members, subscribers, to those returning as well. Thanks so much, guys, for waiting for some more videos. All right, now let's get into it. Doom Asylum, which was released in 1988. It was distributed by Film World and Academy Entertainment, and it was directed by Richard Friedman, and the screenplay by Rick Marks. And it was produced by Steve Menken. And, may I add, in her first horror comedy film role is, you probably guessed it, and you've probably seen from the pictures on the picture on my title card, it's the one and only Kristen Davis. Charlotte from Sex and the City. Yes, indeed, it is her. This is her first starring film role. I knew it. As soon as I started watching this, I was like, oh my god, Kristen Davis is in it. From Sex and the City. Oh my god, that's Charlotte. And suffice it to say, she stars in this film along with the rest of the cast. Some of the other cast are Patty Mellon, Ruth Collins, William Hay, Kenny L. Price, Harrison White, Dawn Elvin, and Michael Rogan. And all I can say about this film is it is awful. The opening is extremely awful. The killer is awful. The storyline is non-existent, completely non-existent. Some of the actors and actresses in this film look like they're already in their mid-30s to late 30s, supposed to be playing bloody teenagers. Some of the main cast, which I'll be popping up pictures of, just look real dumb and stupid. And basically, the premise of Doom Asylum is, it's pretty much, it starts with attorney Mitch Hansen and his fiancée Judy LaRue. They get into a serious car accident, which the special effects for that are awful, extremely awful. Gets into a serious car accident while they're pissed and drunk off their, well, pissed and drunk are the same things, but yeah, pissed and drunk off their faces, and get into a serious accident. Suffice it to say, he gets all banged up, and basically something happens to her, and then he faints and then gets taken to a coroner's office, and then from there they start splicing him up, but then unbeknownst to them, he's still alive and he looks like slices of pastrami. Yes, people, the special effects for him having bits and pieces missing off his face, you can see his brain exposed here, some skull, you know, it's fucking ridiculous. I'm like, oh my god, I was just laughing my fucking head off. It is extremely bad, and the autopsy scene is just extremely horrible. There's a guy eating, one of the coroners is eating a sandwich in the autopsy scene, and it's really, 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 really questionable acting, like extremely dumb acting from everybody. And then from there, he basically kills them, and then he goes on a murderous rampage. And that's just the start. And then it switches to 10 years later, where we're introduced to Kristen Davis's character and all the rest of the cast that are all getting chopped up into little bits. Mind you, there's no one getting chopped up, but that's beside the point. And then from there, they think they're going to, it doesn't really explain it, but they're having a picnic at some bloody asylum hospital place just out the front, which happens to be abandoned. It's completely abandoned. And basically from there, we also meet 3 chicks that are punks in a punk rock band thing. They're awful. I will put up a photo of them. They look like they're nearly 40 years of age, all 3 of them. Don't know what they're doing in a movie that they're all supposed to be fucking teenagers. And then basically from there, they all start clashing, and then they tell a story about, well, one of the kids tells a story about the killer that killed the coroners there and cut them up, and that he returns. The plot makes no bloody sense. And they're having a picnic there with, wine and alcohol and all that crap. And then, lo and behold, the murderer or the killer, Mitch Hansen, comes out from hiding, and he's got up his own little setup underneath the hospital that he goes back to once he's sliced things up here and he's done this here. It's really, the special effects are awful, the plot is awful, the blood effects are extremely awful, and the kill scenes are so so set up. You can see that they're set up from the they stand there, one of them gets a drill to the head, and he just stands there as the drill's coming towards him, and then his head moves towards the drill, and he gets drilled, and he's like, "Blah!" And it's like, oh my god, that was totally set up. Kristen Davis's death scene in it, well, spoiler alert, people, I'm going to do a little bit of spoilers here, so be warned. If you haven't seen it, turn off right now. But if not, and you don't really give a shit, then continue, because this shit gets juicy. Kristen Davis's scene where she gets killed, I thought she was going to last the entire film. Nope. Her death scene is so set up. I'm not even going... I'll let you guys watch that one, because her death scene is fucking brilliant. It's awful, but brilliant. You can totally tell it is so fucking set up. They were told by the director, just, act like normal fucking teenagers, how you would do in the fucking 80s. And, do stand here, or when a death scene comes and your death scene's next, pretend to trip, or do this, or stand here, and we can set it all up. It's just awful. It's plain awful. The music, the soundtrack, awful for 80s. It's bloody awful. Cinematography, crap. All the camera work, crap. You can see that it's bouncy and wobbly. And even in one scene, you can see the guy holding the boom mic. In one of the scenes when they're going through the fucking abandoned asylum hospital. So they didn't do a very good job of covering their tracks. It's extremely awful. The actors and actresses in this film are bloody awful. There's a token black guy in it as well that, plays the same bloody cliche in every 80s movie where you have a black token gay guy. Well, he's straight. The black guy in this is straight, but he comes across like he's real gay, which I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's like, man, he was the comedy relief in this film, but they killed, once again, it's an unspoken rule, black people die in horror films. They never survive till the end. And it was just awful. They gave him some real awful dialogue, and I think I really feel sorry for the guy that played his role in it, because I feel like they made him out to be just, yeah, you know, take the fall for all this shit, sort of thing. So, but other than that, it was just an awful film. What do I rate this film? It doesn't get anything from me. It's a 0. It was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. Everyone who worked on this film should be ashamed of themselves. It is extremely awful for an 80s horror comedy. It certainly played on a lot of other cliches from other 80s horror films, but I feel like it was trying to be one thing, but then it was another, and then it was another on top, and all the scenes don't make sense, and it's just awful. It's awful. 0 out of 10, like I said, 0 out of 10. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you all with the next video very, very soon. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.